Welcome to the Aaron Harber Show. My special guest today is the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, Jane Chu. Dr. Chu, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for letting me join you.
Well, it's an honor to have you. I don't want to recite your academic pedigree, but I'm extremely, is there any degree you don't have?
Well, I did go to a school a lot, and it was something fun to do.
Well, let's talk about the endowment. I mean, and off camera I was talking about when in my involvement with the arts, some of the organizations that I've helped have really been bolstered by grants, relatively small grants, but very strategic grants by the endowment. The endowment's budget, I think a lot of people don't realize, it's not that big. It's what, about 150 million a year?
It's 146 million currently, and the National Endowment for the Arts is going to be 50 years old this year, coming in September. And so over those 50 years, the National Endowment for the Arts has given about $5 billion total, but it has sparked, because we require matches in funds and also other program partners, it has sparked an additional 7 times, sometimes 9 times the amount of the original grant. So we like the fact that it has leverage and that the grants really, you get the most bang for your buck with a National Endowment for the Art grant.
Well, let's talk about that leverage, because that's fascinating. I know in the last annual report for the endowment, they were talking about how roughly the budget was 150 million, but another 600 million was brought in by different communities and organizations to match and to expand those programs. I mean, if every government program in the country did that, we would be in great shape. I mean, that's an extraordinary level of success. How do you do that? And tell me a little bit about the endowment strategy.
Well, it's very satisfying to know that a National Endowment for the Arts grant can bring in other program partners, other participants in the same arts project, as well as other funding. So sparking that vitality through the arts is really at the heart of the way the National Endowment for the Arts operates. So if I put my business hat on, that's a pretty good return on your investment in terms of the way we operate. But the real point is to make sure that the arts are available for all Americans across the nation. And so we do that through these grants and bringing program partners together.
Does the endowment have a sense of the arts budget for the nation? How much does the country spend on arts, whether it be government entities or it be artists themselves or different organizations? Is there any sense of how big the art world is in America?
It's very formidable, and in terms of the nation's, if you compared the art sector to the nation's GDP, that represents 4.32% of the nation's GDP, which is a significant amount. It's more than the construction industry, say for example, transportation. So the arts together the arts are thriving, and they're a formidable presence as well, even on the economic level.
So you're looking at a really $750 billion annual budget for the arts. How does that compare either total or on a per capita basis to other countries? Do you have any sense of what that may look like with other countries? Because one of the things that has fascinated me in my limited experience helping artistic organizations is how some countries really seem to dedicate more resources, at least on a per capita basis, than we do to the arts.
Well, one of the things that I've found, whether it's, I haven't done the international traveling related to this position, but one of the things I've found that's got a similar concept related to your question is, during my travels across the nation, is that when you've seen one community, you've really only seen one community. So similarly, nationally and internationally, the way America shapes the arts may be different from another country. But when you look at the way America is shaping the arts through leverage and sparking and bringing more people together and more funding together for the same project, that may be different in comparison to another country that may dedicate more initial resources but may not have as much leverage in bringing other people together.
One of the really interesting aspects to me of the arts is just the dedication of people involved in the arts, and how so many people will go down a path where financially there isn't necessarily a great reward, but they have other rewards. How does the endowment encourage people to pursue their passion?
Well, that's the beauty of the arts, is that behind most of us who participate in the arts in any other way, we find meaning as well. So we have found actually that the arts are doing very well when it comes to sustaining jobs and providing, we would love to begin to dispel the perception that artists are poor and always struggling to find a specific job, because we know many artists and arts organizations which are holding steady in terms of providing jobs in the economy. But we know that one of the things that the arts has for all of us at any level, regardless of whether we have devoted ourselves to being a professional artist or arts provider, or if we have tangentially been related to the arts and we are scientists who are engaged in the arts, for example. We know that the meaning behind it makes us more expanded thinkers. We've seen high academic performance associated with many kids who participate in the arts but come from other low opportunities, possibly low income households. So we want to make sure that people understand that the arts are for everybody in so many different ways, and that there's not just one way to participate in the arts, but many.
So you don't have to be a starving artist to be a successful artist, at least creatively?
Well, that's exactly right.
What about the fact that so many young people today, when they're going through college, university, especially if they go to graduate school or professional school, leave their educational time with huge debt? I mean, for some, a debt of $20,000 to $30,000 is a lot. Others are leaving with debts literally in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. To me, that seems to impact their choices in terms of what they can do, and to start off in an artistic or creative career, which is not going to pay much initially, if at all, becomes impossible for them. Are we stifling creativity by the kind of debt we're leaving kids with today? Well,
one of the things we want to be mindful of is, are we, and this is how we think at the National Endowment for the Arts, are we creating enough of a creative, an infrastructure, an ecosystem that will support creativity, so that if, for example, you major in college in a subject that doesn't happen to be the arts, but there is a way to integrate arts into that subject matter, it makes you more creative, it helps nurture that creativity more, and that may be a way to help us climb out of the old ways of solving an old problem and putting a new way to solve it, which may be related to the debts we owe in school loans and things like that. For example, some research found that Nobel Prize laureates in the sciences were 17 times more likely to have actively participated in the arts than other scientists. And there are so many other examples of arts tied with other sectors that allow people to have another dimension and deepen their knowledge and their expertise. I think I would try to find a way to connect the arts to just about anything.
All right, great optimistic outlook. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, Jane Chu.
The National Endowment for the Arts is all about large institutions, small institutions. We're in rural areas. We're in every congressional district in the nation. We analyze it constantly to make sure, are we really covering the nation?
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info@harbertv.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. For information about the program, who our upcoming guests and topics are, and ways you can participate, please go to our website. That's harbertv.com. And most of all, thanks for watching.
I'm Mary Robinson, former President of Ireland.
Hi, I'm Jim Cameron, Director of Avatar.
I'm Christina Johnson, former Undersecretary of Energy.
Hi, I'm Oliver Stone.
Hi, I'm Mike Peters. I'm the creator of Mother Goose and Grimm.
Watch The Aaron Harber Show.
I would encourage you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. It's good fun.
Watch the Aaron Harber Show, because he's a really cool guy.
Please watch the Aaron Harber Show, on which I do appear.
I want you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. Grimmy watches it every day.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter and find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scene photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today.
Your opinions, ideas, suggestions, and criticisms related to guests, topics, questions, or the host are welcome. Please send an email to producer@harbertv.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm with the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, Jane Chu. Jane, one of the things you did when you were in Kansas City, you raised almost $500 million for the Arts Center there. That had to be an extraordinary challenge. How does that translate to your challenges at the National Endowment?
Well, believe it or not, it's actually very similar, because one of the times when I get the most energy in terms of being a leader is bringing together different perspectives that might not seemingly be related to each other. In Kansas City, I'd be often talking to an oboe player, and the next day I'd be talking to a drywaller, because we were under construction at the Kaufman Center for the Performing Arts, building this wonderful performing arts center. Now I'm at the National Endowment for the Arts, and I have the same opportunities to talk about the arts and the wonderful things that are going on with people who come from all kinds of different perspectives. And that's the beauty of the arts. You don't have to force fit everybody to think the same way or be the same way, because there's really something for everyone when it comes to being engaged with the arts.
Well, when it comes to arts, you can't do that. I mean, because everybody is different and often takes pride in that. I mean, but that was a spectacular achievement, the Kaufman Center. For Kansas City to have a facility like that and to have raised, again, $400 to $500 million. Not many communities have pulled that off. Were you surprised at Kansas City being able to do that?
We had some very dedicated people passionately involved with the project, and whenever anybody's involved in fundraising, as you know, it's not just one person, it's multiple teams and people all over. But one of the things I have recognized in that project and many other very successful ones across the nation is that those which are successful have a mindset of going out and making sure they're engaged in the community. The ones that don't seem to be as successful have a mindset that says, if you build it, they will come. So I put together a program, and why didn't they show up? But those who go out and they establish relationships and connect them with meaning to the community, they seem to do better.
The endowment, the National Endowment for Arts, actually is not an endowment, is it?
It's not.
So why not? I mean, the concept of an endowment is that you raise a corpus, or you have a capital campaign, and then the earnings from that spin off, whether it be dividends or income, appreciation, you use to fund your projects. With a budget of roughly $150 million, why not have a plan to raise, I'm going to just toss out a number, something like $5 or $10 billion, or ask Congress for a one-time appropriation and then say, hey, you never have to bother with us again, and actually have an endowment that's autonomously managed.
Well, that's a unique and interesting idea. The way the National Endowment for the Arts is part of the congressional budget, and so each year it's voted upon. And we're very appreciative in this budget conditions that the budget is holding steady for the National Endowment for the Arts.
I mean, my sense is there are patrons of the arts out there that would endow the NEA. Do you think that's a possibility, or am I just off dreaming somewhere?
Oh, we'll consider that question for sure. But the way the legislation is set up, the National Endowment for the Arts is really part of that congressional budget each year. And so we actually do not fundraise to amplify the budget of the National Endowment for the Arts. And on the flip side, occasionally, we're having a National Endowment for the Arts 50th anniversary coming for the next year, starting in September. We do not use the National Endowment for the Arts for any type of special occasion or special event.
When you look at the NEA long-term, what's your vision for the National Endowment, let's say over the next 10 years? Where would you like to see the endowment go?
Well, when you look at the National Endowment for the Arts and the role it plays in terms of its mission to make sure that all Americans have the opportunity to be engaged and benefit from the arts, the National Endowment for the Arts is the only agency anywhere in the nation that has that mission. There are certainly private philanthropists and private philanthropy that have been engaged in national funders of the arts, and we're very much appreciative of them. But often philanthropy has its own focus, a specific mission that a donor may want, a specific area. The private philanthropy may give to nationally, but they might give only in, say, 10 cities, or they might just focus on one area like large institutions. The National Endowment for the Arts is all about large institutions, small institutions. We're in rural areas. We're in every congressional district in the nation. We analyze it constantly to make sure, are we really covering the nation? We look at other sources of funding as well across the nation in the national arts, and there are other ones, but either they're place-based venues or the projects may all come from the same location. We're about the opposite, making sure that all America gets that engagement with the arts.
What are some of the projects that NE's funded that excited you, that you were really pleased with?
Well, I'm very pleased with our Healing Arts program, for example. This is a great example of showing that the arts can tie to other areas, and we do want to dispel that myth that the arts are elitist or they're off in a corner or some silo by themselves. We want to show the transformational power of the arts as well as celebrate the arts for the beauty and the intrinsic meaning that it provides. But for example, our Healing Arts program, which we have with the Walter Reed and Bethesda, as well as and the NICO, National Center for of Excellence, the National Intrepid Center of Excellence.
So these are all three military facilities?
They are. The National Intrepid Center of Excellence at the Walter Reed campus and also at Fort Belvoir in Virginia. And so we've been able to have a creative writing program as well as music and art therapy for military service members who've been affected by post-traumatic stress disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder and other psychological health conditions. And as a result of these programs, they have been so transformational for the service members, and they're not invasive. Their family members have noticed a change too, and now we've been able to talk about expanding even more. Those are very satisfying to see the power of the arts and what it can do for our service members who have stood up for all of us and fought for us. Another example is through our arts education programs that we support. Many times there are schools that have kids who come from low opportunities, especially in low-income neighborhoods, or come from not using English as its first language. That certainly was the case where my parents, who came from China, did not use English as the first language. And the arts seem to be an equalizer when it comes to those opportunities. They come in and they take over just the need to use linear everyday words, and they can teach us in a different way. We've seen youth who have not had any other opportunities but had an arts curriculum. Their academic performance has increased so much that they're now on an equal playing field with the rest of their peers. We've seen truancy rates dropped. We've seen other types of transformational ability for people to really get an opportunity to be a contributing citizen and productive as a result of participating in the arts. Those are very satisfying, just as much as many of the programs that the National Endowment for the Arts has funded for decades.
Are there any programs, I know there have been arts programs, for example, in prisons that have been very successful. These all seem to follow that kind of similar pattern where I think people are surprised at the impact the arts can have.
Well, they are indeed, and while we do also provide some grants in the prison system, we've seen a number of measurable success. For example, some of those places where the residents participate in theater or creative writing programs through these grants, the recidivism rate drops. Sometimes while people talk about a tradition of residents leaving the prison system and then returning back to it after committing another crime, they've seen a complete change where they do not return back because they've been given more skills, more opportunities to express themselves through the arts. So these are just as important programs as the programs that we support to provide beauty and meaning and a quality of life in a community. We now see that the arts can provide jobs. They stimulate economic vitality. They have a powerful transformation when it comes to equalizing the playing field even on an academic performance and other settings as well.
All right. We're going to take our last break, and we'll be right back with Chairman Jane Chu.
That would be very satisfying to imagine the world where we could have an arts curriculum that was being linked to some of the other things, the subject matter that we want to teach as well, to deepen our understanding, the kids' understanding and their knowledge, and that's what we're trying to promote.
For information on how to help promote civil and mutually respectful discourse and support expansion of the distribution of our programs, please email info@harbortv.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. For information about the program, who our upcoming guests and topics are, and ways you can participate, please go to our website. That's harbortv.com. And most of all, thanks for watching.
I'm Mary Robinson, former President of Ireland.
Hi, I'm Jim Cameron, Director of Avatar.
I'm Christina Johnson, former Undersecretary of Energy.
Hi, I'm Oliver Stone.
Hi, I'm Mike Peters. I'm the creator of Mother Goose and Grimm.
Watch The Aaron Harber Show.
I would encourage you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. It's good fun.
Watch the Aaron Harber Show because he's a really cool guy.
Please watch the Aaron Harber Show, on which I do appear.
I want you to watch the Aaron Harber Show. Grimmy watches it every day.
I'm Aaron Harber, host of The Aaron Harber Show. You can follow the show on Twitter and find us on Facebook to get all the latest updates, see behind-the-scene photos, and make comments and ask me questions. You can see episodes before their TV broadcast, so like the show today.
Your opinions, ideas, suggestions, and criticisms related to guests, topics, questions, or the host are welcome. Please send an email to producer@harbortv.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm with the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, Jane Chu. Our last segment, so kind of rapid fire maybe. But one of the things that I've followed is the funding of arts in our public schools. And certainly over the last literally 2 or 3 decades, many school districts have cut funding for the arts. And art teachers have been laid off, classes have been canceled, and in some schools they don't even teach art anymore. What's your take on that phenomenon? Are we reversing it? What do we need to do?
We share your concerns, and we're paying very close attention to that as well. And the reason for that is because we've seen enough research and hard evidence that when arts education is provided, whether it is art for art's sake and the joy of playing an instrument or participating somehow that way, or it is tying arts curriculum to other subjects and seeing the academic performance increase and the ability to retain subject matter longer and truancy rates dropping. We've seen such transformational change. We don't want arts education to go away as well. So one of the things the National Endowment for the Arts is trying to do is, while it has for decades given grants to specific programs that help students learn about the arts or participate in it, and it's also given grants to teachers for professional development, and it'll continue to do that. But one of the things we are really paying attention to and are now doing, specifically to what you just raised, is can we go in and provide much larger grants over periods of years to, say, school districts that bring in other community resources and community organizations that provide the arts, so that the whole system and the whole environment of the arts education is supported for these kids at any age, and that way the whole community gets to participate, and hopefully it'll sustain itself longer. So we call those collective impact grants, and we just gave out our first group of those this year, and we'll do many more.
How about the concept of addressing the challenge of educating and informing the American people of the value of having arts in the classroom? Certainly many Americans know and understand this, but with the kind of budget pressures school districts have, people will say, well, if it's a choice between math and art, I'm going with math.
Well, one of the things we've seen so much in the schools that I've visited across the nation is arts curriculum that is applied to math, and arts curriculum that is applied to science. And because the teachers, the parents, and the school boards have said the academic performance in Their standardized tests in science and math have gone up because of the arts curriculum they chose. There's some hard evidence already that says the arts can be integrated with all of the other school subjects, and they do not have to be off to the side. That would be very satisfying to imagine the world where we could have an arts curriculum that was being linked to some of the other things, the subject matter that we want to teach as well, to deepen our understanding, the kids' understanding and their knowledge, and that's what we're trying to promote.
Now you've made reference previously in the program to some of the differences in terms of socioeconomic strata. What kind of studies have been done in terms of looking at the opportunities people at the lower end of those strata have versus people at the higher ends?
There are many opportunities, and there are more dramatic results in the opportunities for arts to be engaged with at-risk youth and students who have, at any age, who have not had as many opportunities. National Endowment for the Arts has a number of research reports, and we're happy to provide those. But here's for an example, I visited a kindergarten class where arts was used to teach science, and in that particular day it was weather. So we had 5-year-olds, 25 5-year-olds, and 23 of them did not have English as their first language. But because the arts were used, they got it instantly. They were able to figure out how to take their knowledge of music that was being used to teach weather, and there was no question that they all got it. That's an equalizer for kids who have fewer opportunities, and sometimes there are families who don't use English as their first language but can have that arts there, and it gives them a leg up in terms of their opportunities.
If, and I apologize for our running out of time, but if you could make one change, or if you had one wish when it came to the arts in America, what would it be? If you had carte blanche to do anything you wanted?
Well, when we have the opportunity to really understand across America that the arts belong to all of us, and that we really can't do without the arts, but they deepen and they enrich our lives, not just for the intrinsic beauty, which is in and of itself is fabulous, but also they help make us better performers academically. They have a relationship with the way we can be contributing players in our society. Then we will really understand how valuable the arts are, the role the National Endowment for the Arts plays in sparking and stimulating that vitality, and there'll be a paradigm change that the arts are not off in a silo, but they infuse our everyday lives.
Who can help spread that message? I mean, obviously the endowment can do it to a certain extent, but a lot, many government-funded agencies are reluctant to take on that kind of role for obvious reasons. Who else can help do that?
We are very appreciative of the pieces that people are helping in terms of our partnerships. For example, I talked about our Healing Arts partnership. That's for our military service members. The Bureau of Economic Analysis is now in partnership with the NEA because they've seen how formidable the arts are in terms of its relationship to the economy, the GDP, that it was much more formidable than before, and now they're deepening their measurements. But at the heart of this, and that's what the arts do so well, is they really tell a story of meaning. And so we're starting a story bank from across the nation of stories of how the arts have been meaningful to any of us. You can always write into arts.gov and tell your story as well, because we'll have many, many stories in celebration of our 50th, and then our 50th anniversary. And then when people start realizing the meaning of the stories and how it touches all our lives, regardless of us having different perspectives from each other, we'll see the value of the arts.
All right, Jane, thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me join you.
My pleasure. That was Jane Chu, the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts. I'm Aaron Harber. Thanks for watching.